So Rick, going back to you, what are some best practices, to even make it more applicable, best practices for identifying, handling, and controlling FCI and CUI information?
That's a great question. The first thing you need to do is identify, do I have FCI or do I have CUI? And it makes a huge difference. Remember, we talked about FCI, there's 17 controls that apply to that, whereas CUI has 110 controls. So it helps for you to narrow the scope. If I know I only have FCI, then I'm looking at 17 controls. So the first step that you want to do is identify, do I have CUI or do I have FCI? Then the next step is implementing those security controls. So you would go through those 17 controls, make sure that you would implement those controls or practices, and whether it's FCI or CUI. And then you need to make sure that you put together policies or procedures. So the next step would be to put together those procedures and policies that govern how we handle CUI, who has access to CUI or FCI, how do I protect that information? All those things are important and part of the requirements from the DoD. The next part is to train employees. It's nice to have all the security in place from a technical perspective. We've written policies and procedures to give us guidance. But one of the biggest weaknesses is a failure to train our employees. Sometimes they can be considered the weakest link. So training employees to those areas that are applicable to them, anything from just being aware of your surroundings as you're accessing FCI or CUI, who is around your environment and things like that. And then finally, the last step in this process would be conduct regular assessments, or sometimes people call them audits, to check on your progress, to make sure that all the controls that we put in place are still in place, that there hasn't been any changes in our environment, to ensure that employees are aware of how to handle CUI, what their responsibilities are in this whole area. So that is part of the assessment process, where we would look at your structure, look at your people, look at your documentation.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this video to the end. This is part of a longer series on DFARS, NIST, and CMMC compliance produced by Core Business Solutions. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video with a thumbs up, and click the bell to get notified when we drop a new video. Also, we'd appreciate it if you would share this video with your colleagues who need to stay up to speed on DFARS, NIST, and CMMC. Thank you, and we'll see you again in the next video.